All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Todd Brous. My friends call me DJ Toddles. I'm here with my partners, Susan Schultz and Liz Otero, and we would like to welcome everyone to HBAP Startups. So let's get started. For those of you who are new to the Startups group, we have a few announcements at the beginning of each meeting. We do some short networking breakout rooms, and then we'll come back together for our main event. And first off is our mission. We're here to help foster and fortify an innovation and entrepreneur community coming out of the Harvard Business Analytics program. And our goal is to provide our members with the tools, knowledge, leadership, and confidence necessary to create and grow their businesses from the ground up. And you're probably wondering how to engage with our community. So I'm going to post a few links into the Zoom chat, if I can figure out how to use the Zoom chat. This is our website. Please sign up for our newsletter so we can newsletter you. We also have a new YouTube channel where we post our recordings. And if you're interested in applying to the Harvard Business Analytics program, go check that out. There's a statistically significant chance that you'll get in. And also, please like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube because algorithms work. Normally Susan does this, but I think she's having some technical difficulties.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Good, Susan, code of conduct.
I don't know if you can see me. I can't see you all. I just landed, but I didn't want to miss this, Derek. This is going to be awesome. So our code of conduct, most of you have heard this, right? So in the spirit of collaboration and safety, this is a place where we can talk about crazy new ideas, hear really cool people give us insights and stories of their lives. And so we foster an atmosphere of trust and confidentiality, and of course the feedback rubric of slightly modified of for every 5 pieces of really good sweet advice, we're only allowed a maximum of some kind of tart advice, and you can just go ahead and skip that as well. And so if there's anybody that's concerned about confidentiality or anything like that, just reach out to Todd or me or Liz, and we will help you figure it out.
All right, thanks, Susan. Just as a little, we normally do a little welcome new folks, but we've got a big group, and I think we want to get started, so I'm going to skip on the welcome to new folks tonight. I do apologize for that. But just a couple of announcements for what's upcoming. June 14th. By the way, we will not be meeting next week. That is the HBAP social overtime. But June 14th, Harvard Business School professor Tom Eisenman, the author of Why Startups Fail, will be joining us for a fireside chat with our very own Kelly Kimball. So that should be a lot of fun. Please do come to that. June 21st is to be determined, but July 12th, Phil Morris, the entrepreneurship of acting. And if you don't know who Phil Morris is, he played Jackie Childs on Seinfeld. That should be very, very fun. And yes, DJ Vector pointed out that DJ is actually his own DJ. That's his actual name in the chat. All right, so let's do some breakout rooms.
And
no.
Before we do that, Todd.
Yes, yeah. Susan.
So everybody, a reminder that the June 7th is the pitch competition of the finalists for this year's HBAP pitch competition. So please attend. It's going to be exciting, and it'll be helpful to all of those that are finalists to get the support of this community as well via the Zoom. So if you haven't gotten the information about how to attend that, it's in the HBAP announcements. I think we've posted it before. We can go ahead and post it again.
Yes, I'll find that and dig that up.
Okay.
And by the way, we will be running a Sunday practice session for the people who have already been informed that they are finalists. So stay tuned for more of that. All right, let's do some breakout rooms. I'm going to send you all to breakout rooms right now. And I will, if you don't get sent to a breakout room, you're going to hang out with me in the lobby. I'll see you guys in about 5-6 minutes. Everyone should be joining us from their breakout rooms shortly.
Can you?
Yes.
Yeah. Are we back? Are we back?
We're back.
Okay, cool. What a serendipitous moment the breakout sessions are. That was so cool.
I do enjoy those. All right, so welcome back, everyone. I hope your breakout rooms were fun. Just as a little bit of a reminder, please do fill out the survey when you exit Zoom. Remember, filling out surveys saves lives. It reduces your cholesterol levels. It gives you a great complexion. It increases stamina. And remember, we're data analytics people. And without data, we become distraught, sad, lost, depressed, and we gain weight. So save a tree, kill a beaver, fill out the survey, please. And then after we're done, we will stop recording. So please hang out for some overtime. Don't forget that the recordings will be made public. And now, all right. So it is my honor to introduce tonight's speaker, Derek Ali, also known as MixedByAli, is a Los Angeles bred, multi-GRAMMY award-winning recording and mixing engineer. He's a Forbes 30 Under 30 recipient and a globally recognized audio guru. Ali is the epitome of what it means to be driven by vision to pursue your craft to the fullest extent, sharpening his natural ability to paint vivid imagery with unique sounds. As a teen, Ali was tapped by Top Dog Entertainment and joined their label in 2007. Ali got his first taste of commercial success in 2008 while honing the introductory sounds for longtime friends and fellow Top Dog artists Kendrick Lamar, Schoolboy Q, J-Rock, and Ab-Soul. This led to a decades-long apprenticeship under Dr. Dre. As a tight-knit group, Ali accompanied his label mates on tours, serving as the in-house DJ. And with over 10 years and hundreds of songs under his belt, Ali's global acclaim and numerous accolades also stem from his contributions to impactful records such as Roddy Ricch's The Box, Donald Glover's This Is America, Kendrick Lamar's Humble, and I can't forget to mention his longtime work with legacy artists such as Mac Miller and Nipsey Hussle. This common thread in much of Ali's work is apparent in his ability to lend a secret sauce to these anthems, simultaneously conveying the truths of experiencing both frustration and hope in a multisensory way. Ali is also an accomplished entrepreneur, and he spent over 2 years developing and founding a community education initiative called EngineEars. EngineEars' mission is to provide access to aspiring creatives and independent artists, and their platform now offers end-to-end business solutions to those who traditionally lack the resources to develop their passions. Funding has been led by Los Angeles-based venture capital Slauson & Co., and their investor list also includes industry heavyweights Kendrick Lamar, Roddy Ricch, Mustard, and DJ Khaled. In addition to servicing the engineering community, EngineEars also provides knowledge and firsthand experience from Ali and his contemporaries directly. Ali shares tips for success, inspirational content, valuable techniques, and relentlessly promotes the art of audio engineering and production. As an aside, I've already watched a few of his 3-hour live streams on YouTube, and oh wow, note to self, mix in mono. In 2020, Ali purchased Dr. Dre's former Death Row Records studios in Tarzana, California, and Ali and his business partner, Dan Maynard, opened No Name Studios, a multi-room compound which showcases state-of-the-art technology, podcast rooms, offices, and original commemorative moments throughout their facility, highlighting the legendary West Coast anthems that were born in that very space, from the likes of NWA, Tupac, Snoop Dogg, and more. In 2021, Ali and Dan launched their latest venture, No Name Recordings, a music incubator that's focused on providing new talent with the tools to render a long and successful music career. In 2022, No Name Recordings announced a partnership with Interscope Records and released the single and video for the label's second artist, Shady Blue, titled Jealousy. Now, without further ado, if we, as is our custom here, if we could all please briefly unmute ourselves, and let's give a warm round of applause to Derek Ali.
Woo!
Woo! Woo!
Yeah. That's open and shut case, right? I think Todd kind of just, are we done? Or we could.
No, now's when you start.
Oh, okay, amazing.
Now's your Derek. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to meet you here virtually. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. No, it's my pleasure. Man, who'd have thunk it, right? Again, being able to talk to everyone on this call, definitely humbling. I'm not gonna lie, I've DJ'd in front of hundreds of thousands of people. I don't know why I'm as nervous. But no, I hope, through this conversation, me, outlining my journey, I hope to inspire, You know, a good late friend of mine, Nipsey Hussle, said that, you know, the highest human act is to inspire. And, you know, this is some sort of a high I get when I do so. So, you know, I hope, you know, anybody on this call is inspired from my journey. Yeah, and I'm happy to be here. But, you know, kind of off the back of what Todd was saying, my name is Derek Ali, known as MixedByAli, self-taught audio engineer, 33 years old, started my career back in 05 in Compton. I actually have a deck that I want to kind of show you the journey as I speak on it, if you don't mind.
Sounds
Please
great.
do. That would be awesome.
And I'm not the best deck maker, so don't judge me. But yeah, you know, hustle like you're broke, you know, the story from beginning to end, you know, and I'm just really getting started. It's just about just tenacity, you know, hustle, not taking no for an answer. And most importantly, not being scared of change. You know, coming from where I come from, you know, there's a lot of people that's, you know, institutionalized and stuck in a box and, you know, scared to take those leaps, you know, scared to bet on themselves. You know, if it wasn't for the people that I was, you know, grateful to surround myself with, I probably would have been one of them people. And this is why, you know, I love to have conversations that inspire to show people like I'm no different from you. I'm no different from anybody else. You know, I just want to be able to show anybody like myself that anything is possible. You know, I want to be that beacon for those diamonds in the rough. So kind of just going into the story, right? You know, just humble beginnings at its core. You know, I started in 2007 making ringtones. You know, I've always been a hustler from the jump, you know, and, you know, I've always been computer literate. You know, the love and then for recording art started with me charging friends $20 to come over after school to my grandmother's house and record 30-second parody ringtones. You know, hey, this girl's calling me, you know, mom's just calling, pick up, answer the phone, whatever the case was. But, you know, as a kid that had like severe ADHD, you know, stuck in the LA public school systems, you know, instead of, you know, there was really nothing at that time that inspired me, that wanted me to kind of, you know, just dive myself into it. It was just football and just in the streets. But as soon as I, you know, fell in love with this art, you know, being able to, for one, I was making a few dollars. But two, it was something that can sit me down for 6, 7, 8 hours at a time. You know, it was definitely just a lot of me understanding what it is that I was falling in love with. There was a large learning curve. You know, but, you know, as I figured it out, I actually have a video that I want to show, one of my first studios. Can you guys see this? Did this pop up?
We can see it.
Okay, so I'm gonna just fast forward. I don't want the language, but this is my first studio in one of the most notorious, you know, neighborhoods in LA growing up. And, you know, as you could tell by the video quality, you know, it wasn't the best ones ever. But this was the beginning, you know, off of, you know, we converted a friend's garage into a recording studio. You know, I used the old PC headphones, you know, just definitely just trying to figure it out, right? Just a kid, just, you know, with a dream, with the idea, with the vision, with no understanding of where that vision is going to take them. Dialing back now, where am I here? Are we back on the deck?
Yep, you're good.
So back on the deck, yeah. So, you know, humble beginnings. So from 2007 to 2010, it was just me understanding what it is I wanted to do. You know, during this time, I was also playing football. I hurt my back, right? I was in college at West LA. You know, and, you know, I had an injury where I had 2 herniated discs and a bulging disc that rendered me unable to walk for a couple weeks. And it was, you know, traumatizing. So, you know, I wanted to figure out what exactly I wanted to do. 2010 comes by, you know, I started working with, you know, these local acts, a name of K-Dot at the time, you know, a local kid from Compton. I'm from Gardena. You know, he had a sound that I wanted to figure out how to be a part of. You know, during this time, we were putting together early projects. If anybody who's a music fan remembers the Kendrick Lamar EP and the Kendrick Lamar OD projects and Section 80, you know, those were product of, you know, us just, you know, in a back house, figuring out a sound, right? Just fully dedicating ourselves to what we've loved, right? We've all came from humble beginnings, humble backgrounds and different lifestyles, right? LA is such a melting pot of neighborhoods where, you know, you look across the street and that's, you know, an enemy, right? So, you know, it's just him coming from where he came from, me coming from where I come from. And it was all just based on trying to get out of the streets and trying to find, you know, something higher than self. Which at the time was music. So we spent from 2010 and 2012, you know, just countless hours in the studio, countless dedication at its core, right? Sleeping on the floor, putting $10 together to go get chicken, you know, stealing hot dogs out of Albertsons, you know, to survive another week. You know, it was just putting together, but it was all just for the love of the art, you know, just putting something together that we love doing. You know, we spent all that time. You know, in this photo, you have Soundwave, Kendrick's main producer, myself in the middle, obviously K-Dot, early 2000. I think this in particular was 2011. But at that time, you know, as we continue to grow, right, we're just trying to, you know, Kendrick, you know, his sound obviously is, as we all know to this day, is something that you can't ignore. And it's been like that since day one. So during this time, you know, he caught the attention of Dr. Dre. You know, I remember being on tour, and literally we're on tour with Tech Nine at this time. You know, our other artist at TD, his name was J-Rock, was signed to Strange Music for a little bit. So we were on tour with Tech Nine, J-Rock, and Kendrick was J-Rock's hype man. And we're getting fucking calls. We're getting calls from, you know, somebody from Aftermath, right? Which is Dr. Dre's label. And I'm thinking it's a prank call. So every time they're calling the phone, I'm hanging up. They're calling back. They're calling somebody else across the table. They're trying to get a hold of Kendrick. And it was just so early on where it was, you know, it was unbelievable. It was like, who the fuck is calling my phone? Let me hang up, get back to eating whatever food I was eating at the time. But, you know, it turned out to be that, you know, he caught the attention of, you know, the hometown legend, Dr. Dre, you know, who he eventually signed to, it was TDE, Aftermath. You know, and because we developed the sound early on in the early 2007, 2010s, you know, when it was time to wrap the album up, you know, Kendrick was like, yo, like, I don't want nobody else to touch the records besides Ali. We've developed the sound together, right? We dedicated ourselves to a sound. I don't want to make sure that Ali is involved in that process. And that was the start of Dr. Dre then being my mentor. You know, he respected that. And at that point, he showed me how to take the digital sound at which I was doing. You know, remind you, I'm still flat broke. I didn't have 2 wooden nickels to rub together. You know, and then, you know, it's part of the journey, but I had to, you know, procure some things off of Craigslist in order for me to kind of develop my studio. You know, getting with Dre, you know, he taught me the analog side. He taught me how to mix on a console, on an SSL board. And that's essentially is the birth of MixedByAli, right? Being able to fuse the analog, the digital techniques that we were using at the time with the analog sound, you know, which, you know, created this type of clarity that, you know, people at the time weren't hearing. You know, so this photo here on the left is we just finished Kendrick's first single, Swimming Pools. If you all remember, which was, you know, one of his biggest records on the album, Good Kid, Mad City. And then again, me as his DJ after this session here, I'm rushing down to Staples Center at the time because Kendrick was performing at Powerhouse, which is a Los Angeles radio station concert they have during the summers. But also during this time, like I mentioned, you know, me being a self-taught audio engineer, I've always realized that this industry is just outdated. You know, me, for one, not understanding I'm a small business. I didn't realize that early on. And I'm always just conflicted with so many issues, fragmented situations and antiquated processes that, you know, obviously as now I'm building a name for myself as MixedByAli, right? I'm sitting next to Dre. You can imagine the kids that are in the neighborhoods and things that are now reaching out to me to work on their music. And I realized there was no process for that, you know, and you know, and most importantly, the education aspect to it, right? There was no information on the right process to either A, be an audio engineer as a business, or B, an artist to understand how important and imperative a good mix is to a record, right? So that's when early on, I've always had the name Engineers in mind. I just didn't know what I wanted to do with it, right? I got mail from 2006, just going to my house, Engineers, just because the name sounded good. And, you know, at the time, you know, 2015, you know, I'm kind of, you know, we put the logo together and we just, you know, hey, let's start doing educational stuff. You know, we got an idea for a mixing platform and, you know, we just throwing things against the wall. We had nothing, you know, it was literally just me with the vision in my head of what I want to do, but not knowing the steps that I need to take to really make this real life. So, you know, again, you know, that came out at that time, May 7th, 2015, and even December 2014, you know, I was asking engineers, send me your resumes, 4 of your best mixes, short descriptions of what interests you about audio. You know, just trying to create a community, right? Just trying to, you know, just build with like-minded individuals to try to see how we can come together and develop tools that, you know, can help, again, you know, people like myself, the people that don't have the money to go to recording schools and don't have the network and the access to be able to get the information they need to become great. You know, and also simultaneously, my career as an audio engineer is completely just taken off, right? You know, at the time, Kendrick is blowing up. Good Kid, Mad City is out. He's taking over the game. We're traveling the world. We're doing things like going to the White House. You know, 2016 years go by from 2012 to 2016. At 26, I made the Forbes 30 and the 30 as a DJ and an engineer. which was a huge moment for myself, you know, just getting these type of recognition as somebody who's once behind the scenes, right? It also just put the battery in my back, like, you know, something that I'm doing is bigger than what I understand and what I'm doing with it, right? You know, there's never really been an audio engineer that had a brand like mine. You know, and I started to kind of take note of that. I started to understand things are just kind of, you know, coming together in a different type of way. And obviously being around some of the brightest individuals in music, right, definitely helped. You know, so here we are at the White House. We met Obama for the first time. Kendrick performed for him and his family during 4th of July weekend, which was an incredible experience. This is here, all of us sitting with Obama. This is also the year we won our first Grammy for To Pimp a Butterfly. Again, this is coming off of touring the world, off of seeing things, you know, me coming from where I came from, you know, I would have never known that, you know, I would have never thought that I would be seeing the things that I've been seeing. And it's, again, it's just inspiring more and just reaching for higher heights. You know, if you remember the first slide to, you know, I've done some unforgettable things to now, you know, meeting Obama and sitting here, you can imagine the inspiration that it just gives yourself, the fire that it'll give you. You know, so, you know, from 2016, as you can imagine, I'm at the top of won the first Grammy. I'm meeting Obama. I'm at the White House. You know, we're hanging out with the Obamas doing our thing. So I'm at the top of the world. But, you know, if you notice from 2016, there's a big gap, 27 to 2018. I hit a brick wall, you know, as a creative, I hit a real brick wall, you know, where I'm at the top of the world. But some of the choices that I made, you know, because I'm at the top of the world, I'm choosing to party, I'm choosing to do all these things, and I lost sight of the mission. And I hit that brick wall very fast. You know, it was a big drop. It was a humbling drop. You know, burnt relationships. I've done things that, you know, hurt family. You know, you just, again, I come from nothing. So when I started having all the success, it was confusing. I'm not knowing the responsibility that comes with it. So from 2016 to 2017, you know, it was a huge drop. But it wasn't until me realizing that, you know, it's either fight or flight. You know, I've always been the person to put my back against the wall, you know, give me an option. I'm always come out chin up swinging. And, you know, once I realized, hey, you're fucking up right now, you know, I decided to really, you know, re-inspire myself with community. You know, it wasn't until that time where, you know, diving back into what I was doing in 2015, bringing that back in 2018 as like my anchor, you know, because it was, again, the feeling that I got from inspiring and from educating and, you know, to give back, you know, that is something that, you know, it did something to me, you know, and it still does. But at this time, as a small business, right, and just having an idea for a platform, I'm not knowing how to build it. I'm a music guy. I know nothing about developing. I know nothing about business. And I didn't even realize I did something. Later on in life, I read the book, The Lean Startup, and, you know, I learned about doing things analog and MVPs and all that. And I realized we did that early on, right, where we did this complete analog version of what the platform was. And if I could show you, I literally written out everything. So what we did was I posted on Instagram, hey, I have 3 packages, you know, a silver, a gold, and a full project package where, you know, if somebody would email me, I would send them this menu. And the menu would outline the price and everything that came with the package, right? And then from then, you know, I went back and I had my friends that I set up as project managers, which these are scripts that I've written out, including times that you send them out based on the responses that you get from a client that is emailing looking to get a song mixed or mastered. So when it comes to what we built currently with EngineEars, the platform, this was the true analog version via email, right? You know, I would post on Instagram, hey, I have these 3 packages available. I had a repository of engineers that were friends of mine that, you know, I had on standby to accept projects. When an email came in, I created scripts of responses that I had other friends on standby to respond to them. And then once somebody purchased, we send them a PayPal link to pay, and then we send them a Dropbox link to upload the files. Once we got the files, we manually emailed them to one of the standby engineers. We created this whole analog system, right, before we even knew what analog was. And that kind of was like the driving factor in this is something that we should figure out how to automate. And it could be a thing, right? So this was like the first inkling of, you know, just developing a system and developing a product and developing a business based on issues that I dealt with firsthand as an audio engineer, right? So reeling back, and I even got like sales emails I can show you. Let me see. Literally written out everything. Good morning. You know, thank you for your interest in engineer service as a community. We truly appreciate it. It's crazy to go back and look at this now, right? It's been years since I pulled this stuff up. But, you know, we've, you know, literally written everything out step by step. Let me get back to it, excuse me. So 2018, that's when, again, you know, got everything back together, decided to really go full steam ahead and providing, developing what potentially could be something that I believe can help other people like myself sustain their business, right? You know, at the same time as I'm building that, I'm getting, you know, recognition, right? You know, as I'm talking more and more and more about this concept, this MVP concept of a platform, you know, I'm having people from Forbes reaching out, asking me about it. Like, what are you doing? You know, how Top Dog Entertainment MixedByAli is transitioning from audio engineer to entrepreneur. And again, at this time, I also acquired my 3rd Grammy. So simultaneously, as you know, I'm building this platform, I'm building this idea of a platform, I'm building this community, I'm trying to develop a team to help bring this vision to life. I'm also continuing to, you know, to mix records and to continue to, you know, remain who I am in the industry. You know, so again, 2019 comes. At this moment, you know, we, you know, again, education, this is pre-COVID, we set up workshop tours, right? You know, as, you know, we're still trying to come up in our minds, hey, what are we going to do with this idea of a platform? What are we going to do with this and that? Again, community, you know, at the time I was getting a lot of offers from other platforms just lowballing me, right? I got this time, I'm realizing who I am. I'm realizing my worth. I'm getting people literally charging me not even a full day rate to go do 7-day workshops in Paris or somewhere overseas. And it's just, I could just feel myself getting taken advantage of. And, you know, obviously, and, you know, what we did, and we said, okay, we're going to do our own workshops, you know, and what we did is, you know, I went to William Morris, I went to ICM, I went to all these agencies, and they literally told me, hey, we don't see the value in this, you know, no, you know, figure it out. So we did just that. We self-funded it, right? We did pre-sale tickets. We sold out the tour in less than 6 days. We used those pre-sale dollars that we made from selling pre-sale tickets to go and book venues, go and do travel, go and rent equipment. And we literally scheduled and routed our first tour, right? Which was incredible. You know, it was the first time an audio engineer traveled at that light doing these 5-hour workshops. And essentially, you know, what those workshops were and what we did was the first half, like I mentioned, I told my story, sleeping on couches, you know, putting a few dollars together to get, you know, to be able to survive a night. And the second half was a full deconstruction of one of the biggest records I had out during that time. As you can imagine, 2019, I'm, you know, at the top of my game. I'm now getting hundreds of people in my DMs asking me what my approach is. What's your creative approach? What's your business approach? Right. And, you know, that's when we decided to really, you know, to build this out. And as we traveled the world, we touched over 1,100 creators from all over the world, done over 15 different workshops. And, you know, COVID hit. You know, as we've built this momentum now with these workshops, COVID hit, completely just, you know, stuck a fork in what we were doing. You know, it was hard. You know, it was very hard because, you know, we spent a lot of time developing just this concept of just educating, workshops, a new way to educate. We had plans on what we wanted to do with that. You know, but it humbled us, and what it forced us to do, me and the team, it forced us to look at the information that we gathered from the whole tour. Right. You know, obviously the first few months of COVID, you know, after you get enough partying out your system, you know, it's like, okay, let's figure this out. But what we did that was interesting is we left all of our attendees at the workshops. We left them with questionnaires, and we asked them basically, as a small business, what are some of the issues you're dealing with in real time? Right. You know, and, you know, like I mentioned, we're sitting back home from COVID now, and, you know, we were kind of forced to look at the information, and it was quite interesting, you know, to have somebody in, you know, in Japan or somewhere in Europe talking about, you know, one of my biggest issues is tracking my payments. One of my biggest issues is not getting paid at all. One of my biggest issues is I'm getting sent all these wrong files, antiquated file processes and communications. And I'm like, shit, like, how is a kid halfway across the world dealing with the same shit that I'm dealing with? And I'm one of the biggest engineers in the world. Right. So at that point, it just clicked, right? It's like, okay, I get in the third phase of what EngineEars is. It started with just Instagram, where we would post tips and techniques and things that I personally acquired. It grew to these workshops, right? And then from that, it's like, okay, the next step is we got to build the technical solution, right? We got to build the tools that is obviously needed. I need them, right? Now I'm getting hundreds of people from around the world saying they need it. So it was a no-brainer. So, you know, at that time, me and my co-founder and business partner, Dan Maynard, you know, again, my background is music. My other co-founder's background is fashion. You know, we knew nobody in tech. We knew no developers. We put the fucking we put the bat signal in the sky, and it was like, who knows how to code? And then, you know, we happened to run into through Dan's network, Luke Sorensen, you know, who ends up being our CTO, young, bright kid. Somebody who came on and just became a brother, right? You know, he seen the vision from the jump. At the time, he was a full-time engineer at Google. He was working on Google Meets and some other AI video conference thing. Yeah, and we stole him the fuck away from Google. Like, nah, you need to come over here and build this with us. But he came on board full-time as CTO, and we put our heads together and we built the first iteration of what EngineEars is. And I'll get to that. So after these workshops, 2019, 2020 comes, I'm kind of reflecting on just like who I am at this point, right? You know, at this time, I'm looking 10 years back into my career. I've mixed pretty much all the biggest hip hop records over the past decade. I've created impact, right? And, you know, as you can imagine, walking away from that was something that I was scared of. You know, I'm at this point, I'm, you know, one of the biggest engineers, and I'm saying, hey, I'm gonna start over and get into tech. I'm gonna completely just take a leap out of something I'm the man in, and I've spent so many years building my brand. I'm gonna just throw that away and leap completely into an unknown space. And I was scared shitless. You know, I didn't know how, I didn't know when, I didn't know. I was worried about my family. I didn't know what was gonna happen, right? But it's that change. You know, it's me always craving being uncomfortable. You know, when I'm comfortable, I know it's not good. I love to feel uncomfortable because I know it's growth. You know, so being myself, I completely jumped ship, right? And I went head first. You know, 2020, you can see on the left side, me not knowing nothing about business or anything like that. I reached out to AJ Roland. I think maybe a month earlier, he announced a fund that him and his partner, Austin Clements, started called Slauson & Company. Right, it's an early stage venture fund that you know, they invest in, you know, minority founders with great ideas. You know, at this time, I know nothing about venture capital. I know nothing about valuations. I know nothing about safes. I know nothing about nothing. But I DM them literally. I say, hey, you know, this is December 17th, 2020. He said, hey, AJ, I hope you're all is well. Again, congrats on all the momentum with Hilltop. He also owns, you know, a bubbling coffee shop called Hilltop in Los Angeles. Apologies for this approach. I see you started Slauson & Company, early stage venture. I wanted to know if you'll be interested in letting me and my team pitch you on our EngineEars platform. We have a working alpha and are currently in our MVP phase. Our next step is a seed route. Nowhere, you know, we were nowhere near a seed round at this stage. You know, what is it? Our next step is a seed round to inject the company with capital to hire more developers to really get the front end tightened up in marketing. Again, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. You know, I'm making it sound really good. I'm trying my hardest. I'm Googling terms. I'm like, yo, how the fuck am I going to make, you know, how, like, yo, look at me, listen to me, like, please give me something. And his response, as you can see, is, yo, of course, bro. So, you know, we send him our deck, which was complete shit at the time. I wish I could show you it, but I'm embarrassed. And, you know, that led into Slauson & Company being our first investment at $500,000. Which completely changed the trajectory of my life, our team's life, and just the ability to build this company. From that initial injection, you know, we raised another $500,000 from industry leaders: Kendrick Lamar, Roddy Ricch, Mustard, Khaled, LMA. The list goes on. You know, industry leaders that understand the problem and want to be a part of creating a solution. For the first time, it's something built by the creatives that's actually using it, not somebody in Silicon Valley trying to, you know, take from an industry, right? So, you know, we got major support from these individuals, and, you know, it was an incredible milestone. During 2021, we sped. So from 2020, after we raised, from 2000, what we did was we launched, in 2021, we launched a bare bones iteration of EngineEars, right? Super bare bones, where our CTO, he built that himself, where he had no team. Again, we had no team at the time. Let me slow down, excuse me. 2021, we had no team. It was just me, Dan, and Luke. Luke being the only developer. And we put our heads together and built just the bare bones iteration, right? Simple back and forth workflows between an artist and an audio engineer. Pure MVP at its core, right? We had an idea. We didn't know exactly, but we had an idea of what our product roadmap would look like, but we didn't want to achieve failure, right? We didn't want to get too far ahead of the build and then just say, damn, we got to scale back now and start building something else. So what we did was we launched super bare bones. Again, something as simple as just engineers can sign up. They can only be waitlisted and then signed up. And then once they're on the platform, they can offer services and just go through our workflows when it comes to communications, file transfers, revisions, and then payment at the end, right? And then from that, right, we spent, because of who I am and how we announced this, right, we had a wait list of around 1,000 engineers to begin with trying to get on the platform and using it. We created the wait list because, again, we didn't know what the hell is we built, right? We wanted to test it out. We wanted to break it. We wanted to understand it. And also we were kind of still building a bit of a FOMO. So we spent about 8 months running this MVP, right? Month after month after month after month, onboarding engineers off of our wait list. From there, talking to them. Every time an engineer or an artist booked a project, I'm on the phone with them. I'm understanding what did you like, what didn't you like about the process? What more can we add? Speaking to the engineers now, what more can we add to make the platform your everyday daily use tool, right? And so spending 8, 9, 10 months really talking to users, iterating month after month, we launched a redesign of the platform, right? Implementing all of the features that the community was saying, this is what I need, right? To onboard all my existing clientele and make this my central hub. So, you know, that alone has been a complete journey, right? So we launched the redesign of the platform in March of 2022. From that, it's just been completely staggering. But one thing that we also learned throughout that early MVP phase was, you know, as an audio engineer, you know, we are the conduit to the music industry, right? You know, there's 120,000 songs uploaded to the streaming services a day. You know, there's an audio engineer attached to every one of those records. You know, me working with major labels at the time as well, realized there's tons of holes in that system as well. So, you know, because of who I am in my relationships, I was able to start an unofficial pilot with labels, you know, under the UMG ecosystem. And, you know, from that, you know, it kind of, and I'm sorry, I don't even know when this is supposed to be dropping. I'm kind of getting too far in the story yet.
This is perfect.
How far? No, but when is this dropping? I'm sorry to cut it off like this. When is this? I probably can't talk about this next thing that I'm going to say, so I'm going to skip over that. I'm sorry. I completely got into it. But so, you know, throughout the MVP phase, talking to users, realizing that we're solving major holes in major labels, we went out and started an unofficial pilot with these labels and realized that because we're providing these services, these tools for audio engineers in the collaboration creation phase, we're able to offer labels better insights onto their own projects, right? Into their own workflows, right? Providing them with asset verification, metadata enrichment, you know, content approvals, right? You know, saving them millions potentially in overhead with having real humans doing QCing and writing lyrics and, you know, gathering this metadata, right? So, you know, as you can imagine, it spawned an incredible opportunity that I can't speak of just yet. But, you know, that again is another affirmation in the growth of what we're doing. In 2022, because of the community we have now built, you know, we were tapped by Mercedes-Benz, where we were tasked with helping them launch all of the electric vehicles because they came with Dolby Atmos inside their cars. So this is the team that we worked on. This is Michael Frey, the SVP of Process Innovation at UMG, Bettina Fetzer, VP Communications at Mercedes, John Cooling, SVP Entertainment, Dolby, Ola, CEO of Mercedes, and Oliver, VP of Apple Music. And, you know, again, based on our community, right, we're tapped with the trust, right? The way we've built our community and a platform we built the community first and then a platform on top of the community to help provide tools. We built the trust before we built the product. You know, unlike other music tech platforms where they're going straight for a product. But me knowing music, you don't have product if you don't have the trust, right? So, you know, this partnership proven that, you know, how important just the trust of what we've built and who we're building for, how important that is. You know, and, you know, it's continuing to be an incredible journey. And then also in 2023, we also made a GGV's SMB 50 list. You know, it's 50 startups to be looking out for. Again, starting from this kid here, you know, to now having, you know, a company that you found the logo when you got people telling you not to, you know, don't do it, you're wasting your time, you're never gonna get it's a crazy feeling, you know. So I don't know how much time we have left. I've skipped through a lot of things to try to make time for this.
Keep going. We are here all night if you want to.
Are you guys having fun? I don't want to bore you guys. I'm sorry.
This is epic, Derek.
Okay.
Please Please.
So yeah, so in
Firing.
2023, we've, at this time in the company, it's growth. We have an incredible team, we have incredible developers, customer service, community management, content. Based on us providing solutions for the most underrepresented creators in music, right? It's proven that we have and we are the best position to develop the operating system for the music industry, right? When we're speaking on AI music and things like that, when it comes to that, we will have the most refined data on that because we're the only platform facilitating the collaboration on the platform, right? We're the only platform that has that capability at the moment. And it's just exciting, right? It's opening up all type of opportunities that, you couldn't have said would years ago, with the support that we've been getting. We've been seeing this crazy adoption, as I keep mentioning, because for the first time, there's a flag for our community to wave. For the very first time, we're seeing this mass adoption, right? We're seeing, the love that we're getting from the community. And, again, we're just getting started, which is scary. Sometimes I get emotional about it because, again, I can see just how I seen 10 years ago where I was going to be as MixedByAli. I see, 10 times as clear as where this is going to be in the next 5 years. And, it's just, it's completely, it's just wild. It's just a testament to stay true to yourself, stay true to your vision. Don't let nobody tell you shit, now is your time to fuck up. Right? Just try things, fail, learn from the failure, try again, keep trying, keep your back against the wall and your chin up and keep swinging. I'm no smarter than anybody on this call, but, I don't know, I probably work harder, it's 50 Cent once told me, hard work overrides talent when talent isn't working. Right. And I've taken that concept, and you can ask my team that I think is on the call now, that there's no one going to outwork myself. And it's like, if everybody has that mindset, to continue to push past things that you could believe, right? You're touching the moon. There's some other cool shit that we did. As Todd mentioned, again, throughout this time, we started a label, called No Name Recordings. During COVID, we, as we're building community for the platform and just for engineers, we hosted competitions on Twitch. Hey, I'm looking for artists to give a free mix to, right? Or, I'm playing Call of Duty while, I'm listening to music, and I'm having the thousands of viewers kind of voting on their favorite records. And, there were these artists that stood out, and we flew them to LA, and, I had no choice but to partner with them. From building a community, our goal is to continue to, provide opportunities, whether it's to audio engineers, to artists, to anybody who wants to work just as hard as I'm working. As well as we acquired the old Death Row Studios, which, it's been about 2 years now, fully in development, completely redesigned everything from the ground up, state-of-the-art facility. If anybody's in LA, please come tap me and come say hi. And the most important, is my legacy, is my two princesses. This is, these are the two girls that, have me getting up at 6 a.m., doing whatever. I'll move mountains for them, So, it's my inspiration. And that's the story where I'm at this far.
Derek, wow, thank you. Is it okay if we open up to some Q&A?
Please.
All right, so folks, if you have any questions, please raise your hands. We'll call on you. Derek, I got a quick question if I can start this off. First of all, your story is amazing. Thank you. I'm shocked. I needed to hear several things that you said earlier. It's been a rough week. Stay true, keep trying. I wrote that down. Thank you. So, of
course,
one of the things that's concerning a lot of us in analytics and machine learning and artificial intelligence, what do you see with generative AI? Have you looked into any of this stuff? What are your thoughts on that?
Right. I mean, we all can agree it's here, right? It's here. I think with the platform that we're building, and the responsibility that we have within our own industry to make sure it's not cannibalized, right? It's just using it in a way as a utility, right? I think there could be a lot of good that can come from AI. I think a lot, right? But it's just how it's being implemented, how it's being monitored. And with a company like ours, it's implementing in a way where it's aiding, right? As a tool, as a utility.
And by the way, real quick, if you could stop sharing so everyone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. So one of the things that we see a lot of is that this is an existential threat to a lot of creatives, a lot of artists and designers. And there are now mastering tools for just upload your stems, click a button, pay your upload your stem, pay your credit card, upload a stem. uploaded stems. How do you deal with that? I mean, again, it's removing the creative, it's
Right.
removing the artist from that pipeline.
Right. I mean, that the mastering stuff has been a while. It's been around for some time now.
Yeah.
Right. You know, I would say going on 8-9 years now. I've been seeing, companies come up about, AI mastering. But again, it's the trust, right? It's the trust, right? When music is something that, again, it's so volatile, right? The relationships in music are so volatile. So it's, when you ruin that trust, it could be a good, fun tool for the kids that are just coming out of high school, that are just doing things, that don't know the processes and things, that and the third, right? But it's always going to boil down on that artistic intention, right? You can't when the imperfections that come about when creating music from the human touch, right? You can't. There's no algorithm that can replace that, right? And that's the spark that I feel like, that the human emotion that can't really be replaced. And you can hear it, right? And all the AI generated songs that are coming out, right? They're close. They sound good, but there's no emotion. You can literally hear it and there's no emotion, and that's going to be the driving factor on where it's going.
Thanks, Derek. It was really helpful. So let's go to Victor, and then we'll go to Bill.
Yes, thanks, Derek. I can't thank you enough for sharing your story. It's an incredible story.
Thank you.
What jumped out to me was your instincts, your self-awareness, your awareness of your surroundings, your vision and awareness of what's coming or what should come and how you can build it. All of that's just truly incredible. So kudos to you and thank you for sharing it with us. I did have a question along the same lines, similar lines. I'm wondering if the young artists that are approaching you now are coming in with AI generated content or an AI generated beat or whatever it may be, lyric, looking for your advice to put that heart and soul into it, even though they got the start from an AI tool.
Right. That's actually a good point. I mean, me personally, I could be real distinctive on those when I receive them. That's actually a really good point. From the production aspect, I can see that being a possibility. Wow. Victor, you just shocked me with that one. But yeah, I mean, I still believe at any moment, even if when it comes to the mixing, right? Production is one process. There's standard steps of music creation, right? From production, songwriting, audio engineering, which is recording, mixing, mastering, and then distribution and publishing. So when it comes to the production of things, there's been tools around for a while now that there's. All right, let me reel this back in.
Mm-hmm.
Every kick, drum, snare sample that you hear is a sound that's been resampled for years and years and years and years and years to come. Every 808 that you hear on a song is just a resample of what you heard, right? So for an AI or as any type of algorithm to develop a cadence of all of these sounds that are put together, I've seen that happen now. But the question is, where do we go from that? I think the human touch that I'm speaking about is taking those stems and then adding what the engineers do, which is the mix and the mastering. But at that point, yeah, you kind of actually have me stumped on that one.
Well, yeah. There's a homework assignment. See if you can make AI swing, and then you'll have the key to the castle.
That's the thing. Is there's so many tools. When you look at things like what Native Instruments have, right, with their drum machines, right, you can actually take a drum loop and manipulate the swing of it, right? So there's just so many tools that are making production way more easier. But again, if you just go and just look at what the community is saying, right, there's a bit of people that are adopting it, accepting it, realizing that this could be used as a tool to help maybe start the drum loop, and then they could play the chords on top of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just that wild west phase with understanding the capabilities at whole. And then how to take advantage of it. I don't know. It's just a lawless time right now when it comes to that.
Yeah. And listen, if I can indulge just one more question.
Please.
Going all the way back to the beginning, before you had a sound in your mind while you were working with somebody, right, that you wanted to build, as you said, through digital and analog tools to create something unique that the artist was compelling you to go along their journey on. I'm wondering, as a sound engineer, when was it in your life where you realized that sound and your ears were going to be the tools of your trade?
Again, it was just that moment of realizing this is the only thing that can control me, right? As you know, as a bunch of kids at my age at the time, hates authority, not listening to my grandparents who were raising me, but being able to sit there disciplined for 6 hours to shape a snare, it showed me that there's something special about just the art in general.
So it was the sounds rather than the content.
It's the sound, it's just
Yeah, that's
that's
very
why
interesting.
it's the sound. It's that's when I'm working, I get this sort of tunnel vision, right? The reason why I actually like working analog, not just the clarity, the depth, the warmth that those
Yes.
old tools give you, right? But I'm hands-on. I am the mouse. I'm turning the knobs. I'm going off of feeling, not off of ones and zeros that you look on a monitor. So it's the process that I fell in love with. It's the ability to manipulate sound in a way. And early on in my career, and as I'm doing that, I'm also DJing. I'm seeing how these sounds are hypnotizing crowds, and how they make their frequencies are having people move a certain type of way and feel a certain type of way. And it's the audio engineers are in control of that. So that it was interesting to kind of have that feeling.
Well, thank you so much for all that, and just for your benefit. This was truly an inspiring story. So thank you.
Thank you, Victor.
Thanks, Victor. Let's go to Bill, and then we'll go to Cass.
Derek, thanks so much. Really inspired. Two questions. One, a business question and a personal question. The business question is, it seems like, and I'm pretty ignorant about the music business production, but the audio engineer and the producer merged into one person in your world. Is that pretty much the case?
Not necessarily. I mean, they're 9 times out of 10, the audio engineer is a producer, right? But when it comes to a merge, there's different tasks, right? The audio engineer has one set of goals that they want to achieve in the creative process, and the producer has theirs as well.
Right. So when you in this platform that you're building, you've learned so much of your business, by doing it, and this arc of all this experience, and having that pressure to get it done. Right. Putting that pressure on yourself, or whether it's the people you're working with. How do you track all that information when you're getting inbound, when you're following up on your MVP right now? What tools are you using? I mean, this is kind of a nitty-gritty process part of it, right? How are you capturing all that? Are you keeping it all in your head? Are you tracking? Do you guys track that together with using Slack or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, we use Notions, we use Slack, our more email marketing is through HubSpot, things like that. But when it comes to our one-on-ones, it's literally just, it's Google Notes, Google Doc. So when it comes to talking to users, outlining their issues, like we've talking to thousands of our users over the span of the past year. And how we prioritize that is based on what comes up the most, right? Obviously, like I mentioned, we have our own product roadmap internally that our C team has. We talk so much to our community, we let them affirm, which ones to prioritize based on what they're saying they need right now, right? And if that comes up 100 times, then it must be an important thing that the community needs.
And is your whole team in the same room?
Correct. Yeah,
so you guys aren't remote to each other, right?
I get some flack, but I'm very much so against remote. Personally,
I'm curious about that.
Yeah, it's my working style. I'm hands-on. I like to talk. I like to, there's only so much that you could do, when remote. And it's an early startup. This is my baby. I threw away my whole past life as making records as an audio engineer, right? So again, I want to see, for one, if I'm not inspiring my team enough to want to do this, is on me. But I want to make sure that we're able to move as a unit, as we're building something that could potentially change everyone's lives.
Cool. So on the personal side, I was blown away by your story and this. You're so real in telling us, look, you hit this bump, right? You had 2017 to 2018, you were on top of the world, and then you were call it the lost period. Right. did a person get you out of that, or was it your family, or was there a friend? I mean, or did you just figure that out on your own? Then that's it. Thanks so much.
It was me having a daughter. I can't be the, excuse my language, piece of shit person that I tell my daughter not to be around. And then it was my partner, Dan. Dan Maynard is one that really, pulled me out of a dark hole in a very dark time. Is one of my best friends, co-founder of, multiple businesses, CEO of EngineEars. I owe a lot to that man, so it's surrounding myself with people that, would tell me, Derek, you're fucking up right now, which I can imagine we all need.
That's a great management tool, having people you trust.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you for the questions, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Cass, and then we'll go to Tom.
So great to meet you. My heart is beating so fast right now because I'm really resonating with everything that you're saying, and appreciate your honesty.
Thank
I would
you.
say you've succeeded in inspiring all of us.
Thank you.
Especially since I'm also a producer, musician, and been really inspired by the community and just especially more women in production, and loving how much it is like the Wild West. Like all of these different disciplines are weaving together. I also am a visual artist, and I feel like producing it has that layering aspect where you can really come at it with any and every perspective that you want to bring. And even with data analytics and AI, I think it's all just this amazing convergence of us being able to bring all of the best of all the different genres and areas, and like bring all the strength together. So it feels like the best time to be a creative,
Right.
I would say, because
Right.
it's all open. The gates are open.
Right.
We can connect in that way. I had like a little idea. I wasn't sure if you knew about yet, but it's actually from an interview I watched with Grimes. She was doing a women in music panel, and she spoke about how maybe with AI music, that there could be like a separate section on streaming services for AI music that could create a pathway for both to exist and feed off of each other, and still have the credit and royalties going in the channels that would support and create the sustainable creative entrepreneur opportunities for the artists. And just a tidbit that maybe could be worthy of some research for you guys. But I thought that was a brilliant idea. And I guess, yeah.
I'm sorry. No, that definitely sounds, it sounds incredible. It sounds interesting for sure. Just to kind of step back and speak on the first half, 100%. I think now music, we're at a time now where there is no lines in genre, right? It's because there's so much access to content, right? There's so many, tools to help develop content, right? There is no, just again, there's blurred lines when it comes to genres. It's what feels good now, right? There's an audience for every, you can get pots and pans and you'll still get 1 million streams if it hits the right audience, right? So that creatively, is something that, if you go back and listen to a lot of our older projects, go back and listen to Section 80 if you haven't. At that time, it's that concept, right? It's creating human music. At the time, that's what Kendrick was calling it, human music, right? It was music that that you just felt, and it's music that took us to South Africa when the crowd of hundreds of thousands of people spoke no English, but they're feeling it, right? They can relate to just the feeling of it, and I think now more than ever with the tools that are being created and where we're at, especially with the AI, I still think there's it's going to be based on humans behind AI using it to develop, to create. You look at AI as a paintbrush. It's so many different ways to look at it.
Absolutely. It comes down to vibration. It's that feeling.
Come on.
And like smile is the same in every language. Music.
I love that.
Too.
I love that.
It's a bridge. So I guess as a question along those lines, now that the channels are all interweaving and open, as a indie artist right now, learning, I'm in another community called the Reverse Engineer, learning mastering first, then mixing, then production. So starting with the end in mind and sort of having this 30,000 feet view of the objective tools, the technical side, in order to actually unlock the creativity more. It's an incredible community. Would love to have you on there. Too.
Absolutely.
I'm also LA based, so it'd be amazing to connect.
If you can, Cass, I have my team on the call. If you could just put your email in the chat, then I'll have my assistant reach out, and then we can find some more time to talk.
Great, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
I'll keep it short then. Like the question is, any advice for someone who is betting on herself, loves her product, and trusts herself, feeling like there's so much in the market, how to get it out,
Right.
get the platform. The trust is there, building the community slowly, and then having the product and the platform built on that strong foundation.
Right. I would start by just put blinders on, right? You know, don't look to your left or right, just look forward. You know, first and foremost, you know, have a circle of people that you trust and don't tell nobody else your ideas. You know, the people that are around you, ideas that people that believe in that idea is the only people you need to speak to about it. You know, but when going back on the community, spend extra focus on that, right? You know, because once you know, Kendrick said it, you know, I want to win your hearts before I win a Grammy. You know, have that same concept where, you know, you want to win the hearts of your users, where they're so open with you and telling you what's wrong and what they need, and listen to them. You know, listen to them. You know, another thing is something that helped me a lot is the don't achieve failure, right? Don't think so far ahead and to where you're focused on building something 5 years from now, right? You know, things might change along that journey. You know, definitely be aware of your community, be aware of what you're building, and just be one with your user. I don't know if that really helps.
It really does. Thank you.
Thank you
So much.
Thanks, Cass. Tom, and then Jorge.
Yeah. Derek, thank you so much for being here tonight. The thing I loved when you started talking, you said, kind of nervous to be here. And that authenticity, right? We're nervous to be with you, right? Somebody who's been around with these skills, just a genius in this field. Thank you so much for coming and sharing. I could ask you 1,000 questions. Let me ask you just one. To Pimp a Butterfly, I think it's probably one of the greatest albums ever made, right? There's so much in there. When you first listen to it, you're like, whoa, I got to go back another 10, another 100, another 1,000 times.
Right.
The thing I've noticed about that is, and this is a mixing recording engineering question, I guess. When I try to attend to the voice, I can hear it clearly. When I attend to the horns, maybe the guitar, maybe the rhythm, maybe the flow. Whenever I choose a single thing to attend to, it's present, it's right there.
Right.
A lot of that doesn't happen in other albums. It usually doesn't, right? Is that Kendrick? Is that you? Is that whatever that vibe was that came together at that time? Like, how was that? Was that your intention, or am I just imagining it?
You got a good ear. No, you're not. Def imagine that goes back to what Todd said in the beginning, right? You know, mixing in mono. You know, that along with analog, right? You know, you can't get the separation, the warmth, the depth, you know, with you know, just working in the computer, right? With ones and zeros, right? You can't get the years and years of dust and smoke and ash that's touching these boards, that's giving it character. Right, you know, so it's that fusion of mixing that analog with digital. But no, you're 100% right. You know, when I'm mixing mono, the reason why I do that, right, in stereo, you have this large stereo field. You know, when you're mixing in stereo, you're always just listening left and right. You know, when I just kind of started mixing in mono, instead of listening left and right, I was listening now up and down, right? Because now everything that is one stereo is now in the center field, to where you could place the low end frequency sounds like the kick, the drums, the bass in a pocket, and you can mix moving upwards instead of trying to blend everything on the left and right. So, you know, I always start my mix with the kick, the drums, the bass, the lower frequency sounds. And then I move up. You know, my analogy to mixing is building a house, right? I lay the foundation first, then, you know, the foundation being the kick, the drum, the bass. I have this story, and this is what fucked me up. This is what messed me up was, the intro to Pimp a Butterfly, Wesley's Theory. Took me 7 days to lock in those drums. 7 days. There was over 60 tracks of live and programmed drums on that record, right? It was so bad to the point to where Kendrick walked in and was like, yo, do we got to call somebody else that needs to help you with this record? I'm like, nah, I got it. Get the fuck out. But you know, it was trying, I can't, like, the way I mix, every sound has to be polished in a way where it sits in its own respective pocket sonically in a mono field. That way I could place the kick low. I could place the 808 above that. I could place the snare above that. I could place the music around it. I could put the vocal right in the middle. So when I take it from mono and I hit the stereo button, everything lays out. That's when you're able to get the clarity and depth, and every sound is hidden in its own pocket and nothing is clashing, right? It's that bit of like, it's religious if you ask me, but it's a sense of polishing. Making sure every sound inside of a mix, even a vocal is nothing but an instrument. and polishing those sounds, adding and subtracting frequencies in a way where it's sitting in its own pocket and it's not being interrupted by anything else.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry for the people that didn't understand that.
That was a masterclass. I want to hear more. Tom, thanks. Jorge, and then we'll go to Jamal.
Hey, Derek. I just echo everybody else's voice. Man, truly inspiring. And I relate very closely to your story because for quite some time I did insist in a music platform that it didn't take off. So I did the opposite road, right? I didn't persist. And when I had my child, I definitely had to make a choice. So I joined corporate and the Harvard Business Analytics program. I don't know what. Anyway, right. Everyone with their own story. But anyway, so I have a couple of questions for you. From MVP to client one, what happened? And then from client one to profit or sustainability, the capability to sustain the operation, what happened? And then I'm very curious about that Google engineer. How did you poach the Google engineer, and how was he enticed to stay with you? I mean, what did he find so attractive, and you know, how were you able to pay him, right? And the last question, is, how do you see the future of music production, and do you see any sort of threat or an opportunity for, I don't want to say only AI, technology in general, in particularly in your area or in your industry right now, or in your service?
To speak on Luke first, I know he's on the call, so Luke, shout out to him. But do you see this pretty face? How can you resist this? You know, nah, I'm joking. Luke,
no, that sounds good actually.
Luke, he, you know, so early on, while he was still at Google, I don't know if he's gonna get in trouble for this, but while he was still at Google, he was part-time, right? I think he dedicated, I think like 15 hours a week, 20 hours a week, you know, nights and weekends on developing. It wasn't until we closed our friends and family round when he decided to quit so we can kind of afford him. He took a massive pay cut from Google, but that just shows the you know, that he's a part of the mission, right? You know, and obviously, you know, him as a co-founder now, you know, but you know, Luke, he's, you know, a young bright, we call him the tech Tom Cruise. I wish I had a picture for you guys to see, but young guy understands music, right? Is forward thinking, understands technology, and understands the opportunity, right? You know, it's not too many people that's seen or just heard of what we wanted to build and was like, I get it. And him as a developer, he got it. Him as a music fan got it. Him understanding music creation from, you know, from a fan's point of view, he got it. So it was really just a match made in heaven. You know, he came on board, and, you know, I wouldn't have it any other way. From MVP to client one, that was the MVP, right? Was client one, you know, because of who I am. And if you've seen in the deck, I was hinting at, you know, something in the space for almost 3 years. So when we launched the MVP, and me being a user myself, I'm an engineer, I'm using my own tools to manage my own business. So I did things such as, you know, I would post on my Instagram, you know, my rate currently is $7,000 per one song off the platform when I'm working with labels. So, you know, I offered $10 mixes, right? And as you can imagine, you know, I had hundreds of people coming to book me for $10. And it wasn't the money that I was looking for, it was the use cases. I wanted to understand what it is that we've built. I wanted to understand what can go wrong. I wanted to understand as much as I can understand in real time that we could take and iterate off of. So from MVP to MVP was client one, but from MVP, I would say, to client two, you would say, it's what I learned was what I really learned was the product takes longer than expected to build. But most importantly, it's talking to the users, talking to the community, right? It's providing real value. You know, from a lot of other companies that I see in the space, I don't know if this is going to answer another question of yours, but a lot of people I see in the space, you know, everything looks more like a money grab, and that's not, you know, how we want to position ourselves. That's not what we're here for. We're here to provide a solution, and their money's going to come. You know, so it's making sure that we're talking to our users, making sure that, you know, we're watching, you know, and it shows from watching our churn, from watching, you know, how our conversion is from people getting free trials to converting into paid users, right? It's watching that heavy to make sure that we're providing such a good utility for our community that they want to be lifelong users. So it's a lot of listening, it's a lot of patience. It's a lot of, you know, making mistakes as well. I'm not going to sit here and say the journey has been completely spotless. But that's what we're here for, right? You know, you fuck up and you fix it and then you try it again.
I do that constantly. Thanks so much, man.
I don't know if that answered all your questions, but another question, that the last part of your question was how do I look at creation in the space? There's, you know, I think now more than ever, music and tech is merging like never before, right? If you look in the market, if you look in the space in general, there's you know, there's companies popping up left and right, all, you know, a lot of them, just like it was when, you know, when crypto was hot, a lot of them now are AI based, right? A lot of these companies are following these trends. But I think that's where we're going to stand out is staying true to an actual product that's providing true value rather than any type of hype. You know, so, you know, again, like I told Cass, you know, we're keeping our blinders on and you know, keeping an eye on the mission.
Thanks. Jamal, a long time no see, Jamal. And then we'll go to Marquesa.
Yeah, I know, long time no see, Todd. Good to see you. So first, Derek, I want to thank you for, you know, sharing your story. Definitely, like, we have a lot of similarities. Me, like, I grew up in the Bronx, you know, different coasts, same story. So I kind of like to say when I meet people from LA, you know, birthplace of hip hop. So hip hop is like in my soul. You know, I was born into hip hop, I like to say, right? So that's kind of like my thing, right? So I really appreciate you taking the time and speaking with us. Wow. So I want to just say is like, so right now, like, so apologies if I sound a little groggy, a little tired. I'm in Bangalore right now. I'm in India. I'm here for a conference. I'm giving a talk on AI and machine learning, all that kind of stuff on Friday. So I flew here Monday, giving a talk, and I'm flying back to New York on on Friday. But I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, I guess, like about like the business first. So I guess like, so for me, like from background, so I know a little bit about audio engineering. It was a hobby of mine for a while, from like, you know, Fruity Loops to like Logic, Ableton Live, Reason. That was my thing back in the day. Then I kind of went into finance, and now I'm in tech. I'm a self-taught software engineer. So kind of like you taught yourself audio engineering. I did the same, but then pivoted into tech. Now working for a big company, whatever the case may be. So I'm curious to understand, like, from a business standpoint, who are your biggest competitors? And where does EngineEars fit within that spectrum? Are you more like a trailblazer here? Do you see yourself as being like someone, I don't want to say like a follower, but like a leader in a particular way? And I'll be curious to know, like, what is your 5-year plan for expanding your company, like from where you are right now? And then also, do you plan to incorporate AI, machine learning into your platform if you haven't done so already?
Right. Great question, man. Congrats on everything too, man. But yeah, you know, when it comes to competitors, you know, I do look at ourselves as trailblazers. You know, when you look at the space, everyone's always building things for producers, for songwriters, for artists, right? The easy stuff. No one has tackled an industry that has been overlooked for years, right? You know, and what we're providing are these tools that are enabling us. Obviously, audio engineering is our beachhead, right? We're starting with that, right? Because this is the one community that's never had anything. But like I mentioned earlier, they're also producers, right? So once we've completed our mission with building that trust and providing these solutions and these tools to where our community, they don't want to work nowhere else but our platform. You know, that's when we can open up production opportunities, right? A marketplace. 9 times out of 10, our engineers also a producer, right? We could build that marketplace and beyond. You know, we just signed one of the biggest independent distribution platforms. We did a deal where they're white labeling their service to allow our users go from inception of a song all the way to distribution under one roof. So when you speak on competitors, there's all these other companies that are doing just one-offs of what we're providing. Because we started in the trenches, we started at ground level, and we're working upwards in the creation pipeline. We can go in and we can create verticals in every other way as we go up the chain, rather than, you know, other companies that might just be a distribution company and then they launch a beat marketplace. Like, at what point is somebody going to buy a beat and then distribute? You're missing a whole part of music creation, right? So, you know, I think we're a trailblazer because we attacked the market that needed the most help, right? And I feel like, you know, people are looking at that as too much of an unsure thing, to where we've seen that as the bread and butter and went after it. And from that, it's proven us to be able to create what we want to be, the operating system of the music industry. And the other, you had one more question. What was it? I'm sorry if I.
Yeah, so I said, so Are you currently using AI on your platform, or do you plan to incorporate AI? Yeah.
So we're currently using it for, so as you can imagine, you know, we have thousands. We currently have about 2,800 onboarded engineers with about 13,000 on a wait list waiting to be onboarded. You know, so as you can imagine, there's times we have around 20,000 artists that are signed up now and signing up. So what we created and how we use AI is to pair artists with engineers, right? It could be an engineer that might not have, you know, access or a network to be able to pull in artists, right? We're using AI to be able to pair artists from all around the world with engineers anywhere else around the world, right? And create those collaboration opportunities. So again, we look to use it as ways to help enable our community, you know, in multiple ways. And, you know, I could see down the line, we implement it to, you know, potentially like start a mix. What if, you know, because we have some of the most refined data on music collaboration, right? With our feature, we have an A and B feature to have the artist listen to an unmixed compared to their mixed song. We have the real true and false of a good mix. We have the artist implementing, hey, I want my mix to sound just like X, Y, and Z. We could take all that, feed a model, and, you know, use that for education, right? You know, use all that information on creating tools to educate community on how to create and actually create a vocation, not just, you know, take away from just the art, you know.
And then I have one more question, if I may sneak it in. It may be a question for Luke, but I'm curious, being a techie, what is your tech stack? What are you currently running on the front end, back end? Like, what are you guys using? If you know.
I hear him say React. I hear him say, let me see. Let me text him. Luke, if you're on the call, text me what the stack is, my boy. But yeah, you know, I'm gonna take my my course soon, man. I'm gonna join the engineering team in a couple months. Yeah, he's not sending it.
Oh, Luke just texted me by accident. It was a DM. He said Python backend, Django, React, JavaScript, FE, and nothing overcomplicated. And I'm gonna like no Flutter. What? Okay, all right. The React people.
Well,
that's beauty and simplicity. Beauty and simplicity. Solid.
Beauty and simplicity. Love it.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question, brother. Safe travels back home too.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, also, can I drop my email too to probably connect with you offline?
Absolutely. Send it through. I'm gonna copy it.
I definitely do. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jamal. Marquesa, and then we'll go to Dean.
Hi. It's nice to meet you, Derek. Thanks for being here. I don't often get to join these, but I wasn't gonna miss this one. So I had a question really about your venture process. So I work in venture capital, have been for 8 years, and actually have a company right now called Perium that does equity crowdfunding, which lets you essentially raise rounds from your network, your community, your peers, your fans. And I run that with Divya and Kelly, who are also on this call. But music has been one of the biggest use cases for our field in alternative finance. It's usually been done through NFTs, but I'm wondering if you could raise, and I don't know if you have already, but if you could raise part of your round from those 1,000 engineers that were on your wait list, or all the fans that listen to your music, or all the fans that listen to all the artists that you work with, would that be an attractive financing solution for you? And these would be like smaller amounts, so like usually under 1,000, but if you have like 800, 1,000 people backing you at like anywhere from like 200, 1,000, that's like a pretty big round. So I'm just wondering, if that opportunity was presented to you, how would you see that working with like your business and the journey that you went through?
I've explored, I've had conversations around crowdfunding. It's just an interesting thing that, you know, I wanted to understand further. You know, I definitely have tons of more, like a lot more questions on that. Maybe we can kind of connect offline so I can kind of ask those.
Sure.
But one of my concerns that I haven't really got too much clarity on is, you know, obviously with, you know, getting 1,000 potential crowdfunding investors in, you know, the meetings that I would have to have with all the 1,000, you know, all those things that that worry me when it comes to bandwidth. So, you know, I'm very conscious of the time, as I'm raising 2 daughters, as well as, you know, building a startup and, you know, all those things. So definitely would like to know more about your process individually. You if we maybe we can connect offline and you can give me more context.
Yeah, for sure. I'll drop my email in the chat. But just to answer that quick question, you would not need to be meeting with 1,000 people because that's crazy. And it would not be 1,000 people on your cap table. Really what it is, it's like general marketing, like how you would market music. Like you do like collective stuff. So like maybe we do like an AMA with you and your team for like an hour and people can just like come in and like ask you questions, or like they do it like in a chat. But yeah, no, it's not meeting individually. It's actually probably less time than you would spend with a traditional venture capitalist, and less work because a venture capitalist can ask you for all sorts of stuff that you might actually have to like hire an accountant for, you know? But yeah, I'm just curious because we're going through a whole bunch of use cases right now. And music is just one of those things that I feel like, well, context, I don't know anything about music except who's behind the genius like you and Kendrick. Kendrick's my muse, by the way, so I'm gonna put that out there. And I just feel like there is a connection there between a different way to finance music, especially in a way that's controlled by the artist, and crowdfunding just as a space. But because I don't know the in and outs of music as a business, or the business of music, it's always just kind of been like a big question mark in my head. So I would love to educate you more about crowdfunding. If you could educate me more about the business of music, I think that would be, yeah, that would be real dope. But
DM'd you my personal email, so just send me an email, and then we could do a nice trade-off.
For sure. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Marquesa. It's good to see you, Dean, and then we'll go to Andrea.
Yeah, Derek, it was lovely to have you in the breakout. And I'm gonna make you go a few more years ahead, right? So now you've got your funding. Have you, and will you be thinking there's going to be a time where someone's going to approach you, a company's going to buy you out, and you're going to have a number in your head? And so it happened to our family a number of years ago, and my eldest brother, no way, he was 50-50 in the business. It was a big winery. No way we would ever sell a business. 6 weeks later, done. Oh my God, sold for a lot of money. He actually, and then he was like, oh my God, like it was a shock. Just about in a bit of depression, but it's like, what do I now need to achieve? Because I've just felt like I've achieved everything. So just in your mind, have you thought there's going to be a number at some point? Someone's going to, you're so popular, there's going to be a number. It's going to be a big number, much bigger than you realize. And then there'll be a non-compete type of thing. So something to probably think about. Have you ever thought about and visualized what that's going to look like from an entrepreneur? Because you are an entrepreneur. And have you thought through that process in years to come that you will be bought out, and what could you do next? Because you're doing your passion now that you love, but it will happen. So have you thought through that?
I look at my life in chapters. As you've seen probably in that deck that I've shown, I've outlined everything in chapters where, I understand that, I'm only here for a certain amount of time as far as, what we're building. I feel like I'm not the guy that sits in front of the TV and just wants to hang out. Like I feel like I would die. I know there will be something else that I will be doing, but I can't even think about that until my mission is complete here. There's just so much to build. We're just scratching the surface. People always say, how much would you sell for at this? I can't think about that. I think when I start thinking that far ahead, I'm going to miss a step.
Right. That's
so
awesome. That's
yeah.
great. That's good you're thinking about that. Thank you.
Did that answer your question? I'm sorry.
No, I totally did, because I was hoping you're going to answer. It's not even in your mind. You're so focused on what you're doing. And that's perfect. It's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, Dean. Love you, Dean. Andrea, and then we'll go to Tom.
All right. So thank you so much for being here, and you're so inspirational. Kelly's talked about you before, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, this is him. So you definitely were inspiring. My question for you is, so being a CEO, like when you first start to now, like when you first start, it was a team of 3 people, and I imagine your team keeps growing. So how have you evolved as a leader and continue to drive your business to success?
Oh man, that's a great question. I learned a lot, you know, again, coming off of music, going into tech, like music is so rugged and tough and you gotta be angry all the time. And it's like in tech, it's the complete opposite, right? You know, it's like you don't want to scare nobody. You want to, you know, have a great reputation. You know, I'm not going to lie, starting out, I was terrible. You know, I was terrible. Didn't know how to communicate to the team. For one, I was throwing shit against the fridge and seeing what stuck. I didn't know what I was doing. I think my investors are on the call now, and I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was doing, you know, but again, it attests to me being uncomfortable, right? If you throw me in a pit full of snakes, I'm going to come out with snake skin shoes, right? You know, it's figuring out exactly what I need to do along the way as I'm doing it, right? I've hit tons of bumps in the road, right? I've had employees upset with me. I've had, you know, things go wrong I've had that, right? But it's like I learned from my mistakes, you know, and, you know, having great mentors and people around me that are able to see the good in me and to guide me, like our investors, AJ and Austin, the way they're guiding me to become a better leader, even somebody, Kelly, Kelly Kimball, somebody I've met who's came into my life and completely he doesn't owe me nothing. He doesn't owe me anything. And just the guidance that I'm receiving is making me a better leader, you know, and it's like, I need to be the best leader possible so the team behind me will want to, you know, rally with me in the good and the bad times, right? And that's what I can imagine. I might not be a developer. I might not know marketing. I might not know sales, but if I can lead, I can have a team that, you know, are weapons in all of their own respective fields, and we can all move together as a unit. So, you know, what I've learned over the past year and a half is to be the best leader possible. And I still make mistakes to this day. You know, my team that's on the call, they know that, you know, I make mistakes to this day, you know, but it's all through passion, good intention. And the fact that, you know, I also won't accept mediocre shit. I want to push people further than they can see that they can achieve. You know, I see good in people. I see myself in a lot of people, and, you know, I push my team. So it's a bit of a balance of being able to push in a way, but also being able to listen even more, right? To understand that you might be pushing too hard. So, you know, what I've learned over this past 2 years is just being the best possible leader, which is going to attract more killers and more weapons that's going to allow us to continue to build.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. Tom, then we'll go to Kelly.
Yeah, I'm back with a business question this time. I think in the deck you had a pre-seed round that you had raised. Have you raised anything since then, or?
So yeah, we raised it earlier. So we raised that Friends and Families $1 million. In December of last year, we raised another 1.5. So we raised at a total of 2.5. In this Friends and Family round. We still haven't hit our seed yet. You know. Okay. We're opening up in September.
In September. Okay, I'm asking because you seem like the perfect package, right? I mean, everything you've talked about, the grit, the story, scratching your own itch, bringing this two-sided marketplace together. You have this MVP, you have the things working. Maybe you don't need more funding. I don't know what your situation is right now, but if I were an investor, I can't imagine a reason to not invest in you right now. Flipping that around, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, what keeps you up? Where do you see yourself potentially failing in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years? Where could this go wrong? I can't see anything, but how about you? What keeps you up?
What keeps me up is making the wrong turn. Making the wrong turn. I have a lot of people on our team that are looking to me to make the best decisions for the success of this company, right? I had people like Luke leave Google, with financial security and easy living. I can imagine how many beers they had in office, right, to come be stressed out with me. So I have responsibility to prove to our team that, my vision is valid. That on top of our seed investors, right? These are, friends of mine, obviously, people that, that's what really keeps me up is letting people down. That's probably one of the biggest things that stress me out is letting people down.
Actually, so Kelly, did you want to have the last word, or Susan? I'll let you guys duke it out. Who wants to speak next?
Well, I don't need the last word. I just had a question. So, Derek, first of all, thank you. You've done me a great favor for being here today, and I appreciate you and enjoy our conversations. And as everybody in the room can see now, this is why I enjoy the conversation. as you know, when you do speak to me, we speak as fellow hip hop aficionados. So, not. While you were talking, I got a number of questions. I think some of the questions have been actually floating in this direction. I got a number of questions people are asking me if you're taking investment, and folks that would be interested in talking to you about investing. Where do you stand with that at this point, and how do you want me to answer that?
At the moment, we're head down building. We're at the place right now where we're hitting all of our goals. We're hitting everything that we need to do. Because the market crashed in January, there's the complete shit right now. We want to maintain our valuation. We want to make sure that VCs understand it's not a fire sale, right? So we have goals and things internally that we need to hit before we open up a round, which we're on pace to do so. So come September, we will announce a round, and by then, there's no leverage on the opposite side, right? This is basically who we want to work with.
Thank you. And again, Derek, really, really appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. And I want to come hang out in that backyard. That looks amazing.
Come on, man. I told Kelly we're gonna we'll talk about it. But yeah, I'm grateful for you, Kelly. Thank you for everything.
Oh, my pleasure.
We're all grateful for Kelly here. Kelly, thanks. Susan, and then we'll wrap.
Yeah. So Derek, I mean, just so incredibly beautiful and wonderful and inspiring. And it's so hard to believe that you were nervous talking to us. You were just incredible and wonderful. And thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so the one question that we always ask people at the end is, what can we do for you? Because you just brought us a whole bunch of really, really tons of wisdom, tons of things to think about. So what can we do for you?
Man, I would just continue pushing this, inspiring the youth, right? These are things that I feel like, the creators of tomorrow need, right? To reaffirm that they're moving in the right direction, right? The things, all I had was just me telling myself a million times, like, keep going, but when you hear somebody else's story through their own mishaps and trials and tribulations and success stories, that just keep feeding the youth.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you, Susan.
So, Derek, thank you. That's all I've got. That's it. Can I please be your friend? Can I please be your friend?
Man, we're friends. I gotta come to Boston and come walk the campus with you guys sometime.
Oh my goodness. So real quick.
Come June 28th. Come June 28th.
June 20th. Let me write that down.
Thanks, Bob.
It's my graduation.
Susan, what we could do, if I can get like an honorary doctorate from Harvard, I think maybe, I don't know if is that easy to come around.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, they just hand those out all the time.
Yeah, no, we can definitely work on that.
Real quick, just a shout out to Dan, who's on the call as well. Dan, thank you for partnering up with Derek. And before we end the recording and we go into overtime, just a little quick reminder. And Derek, you're invited to this. June 14th, Harvard Business School professor Tom Eisenman, the author of Why Startups Fail, will be joining us for a fireside chat with Kelly Kimball. And that is not to be missed. So we want everyone to join.
I would definitely be there.
Yeah, please do come for that. Kelly, anything? No, he's shaking his head.
If I could just say one last thing just before I get out of here.
Please.
I always want to speak about, for the people that's on the call, man, I can imagine a lot of you all come from different backgrounds. For the students, if there are students, different backgrounds, man, just continue to be a dreamer. Everyone's opportunities and everyone's journeys are different. But it all boils down to just the dream that you have and what are you willing to do to achieve that. Don't let nobody, just take you off your pivot. Just stay true to yourself. Just stay a dreamer, right? Because now more than ever, right? The skies are beyond the limits now. There's nothing that you cannot achieve. And and if my story did inspire you, coming from where I came from, a lot of you all at Harvard, there's a lot that you can do and accomplish. So definitely take advantage of everything that you can, and best of luck to everybody on their journeys.
Derek, thank you for joining us. I'm going to end the recording. Thank you for coming. We will see everyone, not next week, but in 2 weeks with Professor Tom Eisman. Good evening. Good night.